or mali ang pag-akusa sa mga naakusahan ng death penalty. Just imagine those people who are innocent. And as we mentioned earlier, or you mentioned earlier with regards to the due process, what particular due process are you referring to? According to Article number 3, Section 1 of the 1987 Philippines Constitution, that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property without the due process of law, nor shall be denied with equal protection by the law. So technically, dapat may karapatan pa rin siya na magsalita or ipaglaban yung kanyang sarili. And according, as we mentioned regarding about the human rights, it seems like we are not that fully aware with regard to the human rights or the victim of this death penalty. And gaya nga na sinabi namin kanina regarding about the disclosure and punishment, ay torture mo yung politician na yan, eh alam niya naman na siya mahuhuli. Anong pakialam ko dyan? Eh kahit death penalty pa ibigay niyo sa akin, wala akong pakialam kasi hindi niyo naman ako mahuhuli. Again, dapat mayroon tayong right due process and dapat is mas ma-emphasize natin kung ano pa yung mas Thank you.
Okay, let's proceed with the last speaker from the government. Let me call on member of government. Government whip.
Hello, good morning. I'm Godwin Guzman. Ewan ko lang, no, kung updated kayo sa inilabas ngayon na news na House Bill 11211, kaya pinagtutudahan niyo yung due process. Yung due process kasi doon isinasaad na dapat they exhaust all the legal remedies before they sentence. Sinasabi rin doon na Korte Suprema lamang ang magbibigay ng hatol sa kanila bago sila masintensyahan. Nakakasawa na rin kasi yung corruption eh. Sinasabi niya kanina na hindi ako matatakot yan kasi hindi ako mahuhuli. We can provide independent bodies naman para mag-watch sa corruption, hindi ba? Kapag meron tayong independent bodies and watchdogs na walang kinakampihan, makakagawa tayo ng monitoring sa kanila. Isa pa, what's the point of human rights if we do not abolish corrupt government, hindi ba? In order for us to achieve good governance in the Philippines, to have a reliable government, the law must punish this inhumane act of corrupt government official. Is it necessary? Oo naman, kasi yun nga kanina sinasabi nyo na sobrang tagal. Nagiging hadlang din naman kasi yun talaga. Kapag sa sobrang tagal nilang nakakulong, halimbawa na lamang yung nangyari sa Marinas, Cavite, 3 kagawad pa yung nanalo habang sila ay nakakulong. Kasi nga, sinasabi nyo ngayon, sobrang tagal nilang nakakulong, sobrang tagal bago sila matawag na convicted, nagkakaroon sila ng opportunity gumawa ulit ng crime kahit na nakakulong sila. Pangalawa, it can also avoid tax evasion. Sinasabi sa pag-aaral ni Ramundi, nitong 2024 lamang na 500 million pesos ang nawawala sa BIR dahil sa tax evasion. And one of the reason of this is that the taxpayer is in doubt paying their taxes kasi for believing that their money will only fall for the hands of corrupt government officials. Isa pa yung sa life imprisonment. Paano kapag sinabi ko sa inyong mas cruel pa yun? Siyempre kawawa yung tao kapag nakakulong yan, makakatakbo, mauulit at mauulit lang yun. Isa pa, yung death penalty is puputol sa nakasanayang corruption. As stated by Adam Smith, mercy to guilty is cruelty to innocent, is similar to mercy to those who commit corruption, is cruelty to our nation. Again, we firmly agree to the House Bill 11211 or the Death Penalty for Corruption Act as the criminology student endorse zero tolerance policy for the corruption.
Okay, so let's proceed with the last speaker from the opposition whip.
So once again po, greetings po to our respected panel of judges and to everyone here right now. So ayun, kakamata po, sir, mag-close ng statement po ng opposition side. So inadamind ko, or babalikin ko lang yung sinabi ng lead speaker sa proposition side.
kapag nakakulong daw or merong life imprisonment, malaya pa rin na makakatakbo or makakapag-file ng candidacy ang isang kandidato. Meron po tayong tinatawag na perpetual disqualification of public service. So, kung nababahala mo na pwede pa silang tumakbo, walang saysay yung perpetual disqualification of public office yun, kung papayagan pa rin nila tumakbo yung isang tao na nakatulad na may kasalanan. And kaya meron tayong due process of law. At sa pagbabalik namin sa mga stance na meron kami, yung deterrence against corruption nga. So, lagi natin iisipin na hindi guaranteed or effective solution ang death penalty para matapos ang suliranin sa korupsyon. Dahil sa pagpatay ba ng buhay ng may sala, kasama rin bang mamamatay ang pinakasuliranin ng korupsyon? Di ba hindi naman? Dahil aanhin natin ang buhay na nasayang kung ang pinakasuliranin sa korupsyon ay hindi naman masusolusyonan. Second is, yung risk na maliit, yung life imprisonment, at least, meron silang chance na mag-appeal. So, kailangan natin dito na paigtingin yung mga existing laws na meron na tayo, yung Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act na meron tayo sa ating bansa. And also yung justice for the victim. So, ayun nga, we firmly believe that that penalty is a blatant violation of human rights. So, lahat tayo may karapatang mabuhay at karapatan din natin na hindi ipagkait sa tao na mabuhay pa kahit ano pa yung kasalanan niya. Dahil ayon nga sa Article 3, Section 1 of the 1987 Constitution na no person shall be deprived. So it includes the rights of the accused or kahit na siya pa ay akusado or inaakusahan. And Commission on Human Rights agrees that corruption is most effectively through passing the institutional reforms, consistent law enforcement, and robust transparency and accountability mechanism. So, ayun nga, iiwanan namin sa inyo na hindi matatapos ang suliranin sa korupsyon kung hindi natin babaguhin ang pulong sistema ng gobyerno na meron tayo sa ating bansa. So, yung sinasabi niya na death penalty, malayo pa siya sa pinaka-ideal na matapos ang korupsyon. Dahil kung gagawa pa tayo ng isang kasalanan, hindi matatapos ang isang kamalian, ang isang pagkakamali. Dahil hindi naman lahat ng naaakusa ay talagang akusado. Minsan kung sino pa yung mga inosente, sila pa yung nakakaranas ng ganitong uri ng maling pag-aakusa. So, lagi natin tandaan na ang bawat isa ay may karapatang buhay at hindi yun ipagkakait dahil na meron tayo rights to live and that is stated of human rights.
Okay, so let's proceed. So again, let's give our debaters a round of applause. From the College of Criminal Justice Education and from the College of Arts and Sciences. Now let's proceed with again another interpolation from our panel of judges. So let's start our 15 minutes. So from the panel, sino po gusto munang magtanong ulit?
Sa government. Yung penalty for corrupt government officials, absolute ba yan? Or mayroon tayong threshold na para i-impose ang death penalty? Kasi sa crime, meron siyang may less grave, may slight or light offense, less grave tsaka serious. So, yung proposition nyo, lahat ng crime na yun, basta na-commit na government official, dapat PI? Or mayroon tayong threshold lang? Anong klase corruption yun?
Anyone from the government?
Corruption is a corruption, sir. That is absolute. Ang naka-specific din naman po kasi is graft, corruption, and malversation of public funds. Tsaka isa pa, kapag napatunayan na sila ay nag-corrupt, death penalty kagad. Kasi nga, corruption is a corruption. Even maliit, malaking pera. Pag nanakaw pa rin yan sa bayan, marami pa rin silang nababiolate na human rights.
Wala na? Dagdag pa? Okay. Any more questions mo?
Sa opposition. So sa tingin nyo ngayon, ang mga umiiral na batas ay tama na makakasagot doon sa as deterrent doon sa pag-commit ng corruption? At kung tama na ito, bakit marami pa rin nakukurakot?
Yes, anyone from the opposition side would like to answer?
Yun po. Siguro, so, sasabihin po namin na hindi pa po tunay na sapat yung mga ini-implement na batas na meron po tayo para labanan po yung korupsyon. Gaya nga po ng sinabi ko kanina na bulok po yung sistema na meron tayo sa bansa. Bago po natin matapos ang issue o suliranin sa korupsyon, kailangan ayusin po muna natin yung sistema. Kung magsisimula po tayo sa pag-ayos ng sistema ng ating bansa, siguro magkakaroon pa tayo ng mas malakas na mga batas na maaaring ipatupad or impose na mga nauupo ay nahalal sa pwesto para matapos ang usapin ng korupsyon. Dahil siguro nagsisimula ang korupsyon sa mga mali na naiuupo na tao sa mga pwesto. Pag bumaboto, siguro i-advise din natin, kailangan magkaroon po tayo ng advice sa mga tao na pumili po ng tamang ibobote. Kasi kung hindi po nagsisimula sa maayos or matalinong pagboto, hindi po talaga matatapos yung corruption. Pero dahil nga sa sistema na kinaharap natin ngayon sa Pilipinas, kailangan maayos muna natin siya bago natin mas masolusyonan yung
Thank you po. Next, any more from attorney? So government, no? Pardo, you mentioned about human right. Isn't it the fact that in human right to life is fundamental right? And isn't it a fact that death penalty is a cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment? Can you please explain on that?
Yun po. So, although death penalty will take, will take lives of those corrupt, convicted corrupt official. Kasi ang matter ng ang nangyayari po kasi is when a corruption happens, mas maraming lives of the Filipino or of the people, especially Filipino people, yung nalalagay sa risk or even nagte-turns out to death. Mas cruel siya kasi mas maraming nabibiktima yung pagkakos ng death penalty, yung pagkakos ng corruption sa bansa natin. At since cruel siya, mas okay, mas intact sa kanya yung death penalty since para sa kabayaran nung ginawa niya sa mga mamamayan nating Pilipino.
Any more questions, Lord? Sa kabila, no? I would like to ask you, Senator, hindi ba yung corruption also violates the economic and social rights of the Filipino people? How could you reconcile that if death penalty is not a deterrent?
Yes, sir. Corruption really is a risk to the economic and social life of the people. But what we are saying here, sir, is that the certainty of the punishment, ayun po ang kailangan. Dahil, gaya ng tanong kanina po, di ba, kung sapat na po ba yung mga batas na meron tayo, I believe sapat na. We have lots of laws that punishes corruption in our government. Pero ang problema kasi nalulusutan ng ating mga politiko itong mga batas na ito. Kasi they are made actually specifically to target at maiwasan itong mga corruption na ito. Kaya lang nakakagawa sila ng paraan para maluskan batas, and maybe through corruption then through our I'm not an officer of the court, no, I'm not of the judge, pero makikita naman natin na sa justice system ng Pilipinas at yung implementation nitong mga batas nito, sana okay na sana, kaya lang nagkakaroon lang tayo ng problema sa implementation. And yet kung may pasa na death penalty, ganun pa rin yung sistema natin dito sa Pilipinas, mawawala lang yung saysay ng pagpapasa natin ng batas na ito kung hindi naman maayos yung justice system natin.
Thank you. Professor, is it? Question?
Hello, so, ang dami, kaya lang, so, to follow up with ma'am, sir pala, okay, with the batas, do you know that in Southeast Asia, we have the most law with regards to anti-graft and corruptions? That's why, but we are the most corrupt within Southeast Asia. So we are not, hindi tayo kulang sa batas. Okay? Okay po? With regards to yun naman, okay, sino nagsalita na perpetual disqualification? Okay? Daming mali. Okay, so when you are in the jail, you are still accused. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka pa sentensyado. That's why you have the right to the suffrage at then, meron ka rin karapatan para tumakbo. Okay? With regard to datos ulit, you are saying na mali ang sinabi ang sentensya ng lower court. Abogado kasi itong dalawa dito. Okay? It is not mali. Okay? It is just they have different interpretations of the law. Okay? Even though they have one book na binasa, but the interpretation of Sir Panyero, yan, the interpretations of the law is different. So, basically, hindi mali ang pagsintensya. Okay? So, in the death penalty, you are against, I believe, diba? So, basically, sa inyo naman, in general nyo. So, to follow up with Sir Colette, okay, wherein sinasabi niya that we have already too many laws here. Okay? Yung sinasabi ni Sir kanina, plunder, everything. Plunder is life imprisonment, sir. Tama po ba? Okay? Graft is, kunyari, graft and corruption. Yung pulis na nagsnakaw ng 50 pesos, ibig niya sabihin yung sinasabi ni Sir kanina, death penalty ba kagad yun? Isisimplify ko lang. General mo kanina.
Anyone from the government?
Kasi sabi mo kanina, all corruption.
Yes po. Base po kasi sa yung inilabas ngayon na House Bill 11211. That is absolute naman po kasi kahit gaano pa kababa na halaga yan, kapag nagnakaw ka sa pera ng bayan, ay that is a corruption pa rin po. And ayun po yung sinasabi natin, penalty po talaga kahit gaano pa kababa yan sa corruption and malversation of public fund.
Okay, sir. So, if that is the case, malamang lahat tayo matatakot na. So, that penalty will be deterrent talaga. Okay.
Okay na. Okay. Ilang minutes pa tayo? 5 minutes pa po. May gusto mo magtanong?
What if ang isang government official ay napilitang gumawa ng isang gawain, corrupt practices, na dahil sa mga circumstansya. Halimbawa, nagtatrabaho siya, kulang ang sahod. Reality yan sa gobyerno. Ngayon, mayroong perang nandiyan na gamit niya. That is already a crime because kinuha niya, hindi kanya. So, covered ba yun ng death penalty kahit na mayroong circumstances na nag-force sa kanya na gawin yun?
Is government ulit? Anyone? No, ulit. I'll go. Smart.
Yes po. Covered pa rin po yun. Kagaya na lang po ng ibang krimen. Ang law ay walang pakialam sa dahilan mo. Kapag gumawa ka ng krimen, hahatulan ka pa rin kahit, halimbawa, ikaw, nagnakaw ka para sa nanay mo. Hahatulan ka pa rin. Although, gusto mong makatulong sa nanay mo, ang batas ay nagsasabi na ang pagnanakaw mo ay kailangang maparusahan. Ayun po.
Okay na. Meron pa last?
Ilobok. Ang ibig sabihin ni sir, okay, jimaa. Yun lang. Okay? So, you mean to say, tatamaan ka agad, even though it is being pinansausgado na it is justifiable, mitigating, aggravating, alam niyo yan. Okay. So, doon susukatin, di ba? So, you mean to say, if nagnakaw ka na 50 pesos at saka ng 50 million pesos, it's already a plunder.
Meron pa tayong minutes? O last, may gusto.
Okay na.
Okay na to ni Pansa.
Hindi na masasagot yun. This is not a rhetorical question. I'm just pointing out something. Okay? Pag-isipan nyo, criminology student kayo eh.
Okay. Any more po? Okay na po tayong panels. Okay. Thank you. So let's give again our debaters for this round death penalty for corrupt government official of the Philippines. Thank you. Let's proceed with the third and final round of this debate. Oh, ba't naman? Kindly let's settle down first kasi maingay po sa labas. We need the doors closed.
Hello everyone, we still have one round
Yes,
of
please
applause.
settle po na po kasi hindi makakadaan yung debater sa gitna.
So please settle down
Uy,
po.
wala pa. Ito pa yung tinatawag. Wala
Again,
pa.
please close the door po dahil medyo maingay na sa labas and we still have one more round.
One more round.
So please settle down po.
Okay, so let's call on our proposition team for this topic. Let me call on debaters coming from the College of Business and Accountancy. Dito po, proposition. So, Prime Minister, sunod-sunod po. Prime Minister. Yan. Next, let me call on the opposition or their opponent for this team, the special team that was created for this event. So, just to remind everyone, yung special team po are again open for all colleges na kung sino po yung willing within the given time period na nagpalista po. Unfortunately, we already closed by that time para po makabuo kami ng special team. Again po yung special team na to are open for all colleges. Pero again po, sino po yung huling gusto magpalista, that would be the official special team. So yun po yung means para mabuo po sila. Because again, we need 6 teams officially for this debate. So yun po. So their topic for this debate is lowering criminal liability and responsibility at the age of 9 years old. Ulitin ko po. Their debate topic is lowering criminal liability and responsibility at the age of 9 years old. So, let's start. So, let's check lang po yung pangalan. Okay naman. How about kabila? Okay na tayo dito, Frank? Okay, good. So, let's start with the Prime Minister coming from the government side to give his opening.
A country that does not protect its children.
A country that does not protect its children is a country that fails to protect its future. Honorable judges, members of the opposition, fellow students, and fellow debaters, it's such a wonderful day to each and every one of us. Today, we gather here to tackle a most concerning problem affecting the most vulnerable among us, our children. I stand before you with a motion that is timely and significant to the future of our nation. Lowering the age of criminal liability and responsibility at the age of 9, amended by the Republic Act No. 9344, or also known as the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006. An act establishing a juvenile justice system and creating a juvenile justice and council under the Department of Justice, creating a proper funding thereof for other purposes. It aims to protect, rehabilitate, and reintegrate those children who are in conflict with the law. It also promotes a child-friendly justice system that is associated with rehabilitation and restoration rather than punishment. By lowering the age of criminal liability and responsibility, we can able to help our children, give them the protection they really deserve, keeping them further from those manipulation and exploitation among criminal syndicates. Currently, in our country, which is the Philippines, children below 15 years of age are considered as not liable from criminal liability and responsibility. However, this law, in its current form, fails to address the increase of a child participation in serious crimes, most of which are carried out by criminal syndicates. These children as young as 9 years old are being manipulated and controlled to commit crimes such as drug trafficking, robbery, and other criminal activities, While they don't fully understand the consequences and implications of their own actions, they're still being exploited by the criminal syndicates to commit crimes and uses them as a tool to continue the cycle of crime. It is a serious issue that we must resolve. Children who are engaged with criminal syndicates lack the ability to develop in a secure environment.
Let's pause time. We have a point of information. Now the question is, would you accept or reject the point of information? Accept. Okay, so what's your question?
I just wanted to ask and point out what you mentioned a while ago. You said that it is the syndicates that are trying to manipulate these children that we're talking about, and we're trying to lower the criminal liability at the 9 years of age. Now, may I know if that is the cause of these syndicates? Why are we also looking upon the criminal liability of these children? If we are talking about their welfare, the child care, and also reconciliation or rehabilitation for these children?
Thank you for that wonderful question, Mr. Speaker. To answer that, yung sinabi niya kasi na bakit daw hindi na lang hulihin yung mga criminal syndicates instead of those children. Paano natin mahuhuli yung mga kriminal kung yung mga children is yung hinaharap nila or ginagamit nila upang i-continue yung crime? And to point out then, under the Republic Act number 9344, also known as the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006, it is not all about punishing children. It is about protecting them among those criminal syndicates. So kapag na-under sila ng Philippine National Police or ng ating government, they will be given a chance for rehabilitation and restoration, no? Na kung saan, meron silang opportunity na kung saan pa rin nila ma-attain yung education, counseling, and other training for them to be able na matuto or to develop their past experiences they have been through. When we lower the age of criminal liability and responsibility, like what I've said earlier, it is clear that a 9-year-old children would be under the custody of the Philippine National Police or the government itself. So, according to the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, various programs have been initiated by the Philippine National Police to promote the well-being of those children who are in conflict with the law, helping them to reform and reintegrate in a society in a healthy manner. Additionally, through these rehabilitation programs, children who are in conflict with the law are also given the access to counseling, like what I said earlier, education and training in order for them to overcome their previous mistakes and trauma to acquire useful skills in life. By lowering the age of criminal liability and responsibility, we are not only protecting our children, but also protecting our future. As a society, as a nation, as a Filipino citizen who live in the Philippines, it is our responsibility to step in, to step up, and to give our children the opportunity for them to live in a world or for them to have a healthier environment. And of course, the opportunity for a better tomorrow. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask Ms. Speaker this question. What do you prefer more? A 9-year-old children who is in the custody of our government, where they're given a chance for rehabilitation and restoration, or a 9-year-old children who is in the hands of those criminal syndicates, who continuously uses them as a tool to continue the cycle of crime? Thank you.
So let's call on the leader of opposition.
Good morning, everyone. And this House is opposed to lowering criminal liability and responsibility at the age of 9 years old. Now, we must emphasize the word criminal liability as we aim for the stand of aiming for restorative justice rather than punitive justice to be served to these children. Because in that question that was presented to us, it is significant to take an account of the situation of the children being subjected to such legal consequences that will never be favorable to them. And also, as part of Commission on Human Rights, Gwendolyn Pimentel Gana, she mentioned that we're not really looking at this rooted causes. Yeah, sure, there are syndicates that is also involved in this such crimes that is the children crime that is helping them to commit crimes. But isn't that also the causes that we should also emphasize rather than blaming the children and imposing such action of providing such legislation that will not help them, but rather treat them as criminals. And we can also imply that a crime is a liability against the state. And so it is prosecuted by and for the state, considered by penalized by the law. And so we want to also argue that this socioeconomic factors that would lead them to do such crime certainly place them in a very vulnerable situation. Aside from that, as statistically shown, 1,200 children in conflict of law, children who have committed an offense under the law, 58% of them children in impoverished family, 29% of them children in separated family, 24% children experiencing domestic violence. These factors are relevant. It is also suggesting us that the complex challenges that shall be addressed rather than placing the children in a more concerning situation. Yes, be it at the age of 9 or 12, the potential perpetrator looking upon these children, waiting for an opportunity to manipulate them and doing the crime for their own benefit, will never cease to exist if we continue consenting for such law to be passed. And we cannot make sure that that lowering criminal liability will not impose a direct problem or concern to these children we're talking about. And also, let us readjust our focus to the lens of real situation here. The wrongdoings also intersect to neglect, abuse, power dynamics, and exploitation of the adults. So let's say that we are able to acquire these children in the most vulnerable situation. Do they able to, kaya ba talaga nila masabi kung sino yung mga sindikatong ito, lalo na hindi pa fully develop ang kanilang cognitive and moral development?
Thank you po. Okay, so let's proceed with the second speaker from the proposition, Deputy Prime Minister.
The audacity not to trust the welfare of these children to the PNP. First, can you think what a 9 years old capable of doing? Ladies and gentlemen, a wonderful morning to each and everyone. I am from the Deputy Prime Minister of the proposition side in lowering the criminal liability and responsibility to 9 years old in the Philippines. First, it is stated earlier to the opposition side that we're not looking to the rooted issues, which is not the children as the issue here. Does it look like that the children are we're blaming for those criminal acts? In fact, in the UNICEF, it is stated to the research that the children aged 9 years old and above are increasingly being targeted for involvement in illegal activities such as drug trafficking, theft, and even violent crimes. So these children, particularly from marginalized community, are highly vulnerable to exploitation by criminal organizations because these syndicates use minor as tool for illegal activities, and these syndicates believe that this is the effective tools that they use children because they believe that children will receive lighter sentence or be treated with leniency under the existing law. And of course, are reported by the Philippine Institute of Development, or PIDS, noted that many minors are coerced into committing crimes through the threats of promises of money and often leading them to dangerous situation without understanding the full implication of their actions. So I stated as the opposition side stated earlier that we're punishing the children. No, we're not punishing the children, but also protecting them for being child exploitation. So here, you will think of why it is essential in the PNP instead of PSWD.
For the last person, okay? Point of wait lang, would you accept or reject to point of information. Accept. Okay? So what's your question?
Question lang. How would you establish the criminal intent at the age of 9 years old, where in fact, according to Piaget theory, at the age of 7 to 11 years old, there are actually stages of influencing by their environment. So how will you establish their criminal intent in committing the offense?
Thank you for that questions. Of course, what we are emphasizing to the proposition side is that in criminal liability, we're not punishing the children, but we're protecting them. Because as the opposition side earlier says that 7 years old up to 9 years old, the children didn't understand or know, or they have the cognitive ability that they didn't know the consequences of their actions. That's why we need to protect those children from child exploitation, because as I said earlier to the report of the PIDS, that those minors are coerced into committing crimes to the threats or promise of money. So the purpose of doing those crimes is to gain money. The children didn't know, so we need to protect them from child exploitation, because they have been used and they've been manipulated and controlled by those syndicates. That's all. So now, you will think, why is it essential in the custody of PNP instead of the DSWD? So in fact, according to the Department of Budget and Management, the PNP has a higher budget allocation of 200 billion pesos for law enforcement agency over the 50 billion budget for DSWD. So it allows them for more comprehensive program tailored for youth offenders. In addition, DSWD focus shifted towards the programs such as AIX and TUPAD, which is this initiative can see the disparity of DSWD and PNP. And if we truly care about protecting these children from exploitation, how can we justify leaving them vulnerable to syndicate control instead of offering them protection to appropriate legal pressure? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's proceed with the second speaker from the opposition, Deputy Leader of Opposition.
With the arguments given by our Leader of Opposition, I as the Deputy Leader of Opposition would like to reiterate our stance as to why we are opposed to lowering the criminal liability and responsibility at the age of 9 years old. Where she mentioned that it is significant to consider the socio-economic factors that these children grew up to in terms of how we are treating their crimes. Because, let me give you data that in 2010, the Council for the Welfare of the Children has this report that their youth profiles, these juvenile delinquent males aging from 14 to 17 years old have these common denominators where they are either galing sa mahirap na pamilya or out-of-school youth. So, tinitignan ng batas natin, nire-recognize ng batas natin yung mga bata at yung influensya ng surroundings nila, ng environment na kanalakihan nila as to how they are influenced in committing these crimes. And if I may add, in the Philippine context, the House of Representatives approved a bill in 2019 allowing criminal liability and responsibility at the age of 9 years old, with their justification based solely on the fact that these children are being used as a tool to consummate the crimes of these bigger crime syndicates. Pero hindi ba natin na-realize na we are targeting these children who are also victimized by exploitation? Bakit hindi tayo gumawa ng batas na magbibigay solusyon dito sa mga o makakahuli sa mga bigger crime syndicates na nag-i-exist dito sa bansa natin? And nabanggit nyo kanina, no, na meron tayong mga rehabilitation centers para sa youth. Pero hindi nyo ba alam na yung mga rehabilitation centers dito sa Pilipinas for youth ay under-supervised, underfunded, and hindi naman talaga sila napagtutuunan ng pansin na ang tendency, yung mga bata ay subjected din sila sa loob ng mismo ng youth rehabilitation center na maging makaranas din sila ng pang-aabuso, no? Dahil nire-require din ng Republic Act na 9344 na nag-aalaw sa criminal liability at the age of 15 years old na dapat ang Pilipinas magkaroon ng 140 na rehabilitation youth centers para sa mga batang nagko-commit ng crimes. Pero alam niyo kung ilan yung bilang na meron tayo dito? 63 lang. 55 lang yung functionals. So, paano natin makikater yung mga batang nag-commit ng criminal liability at 15 years old? Tapos magdadagdag pa tayo ng mga 9 years old na nagko-commit pa ng crime, no? And nung jail visitation yung Commission on Human Rights noong 2013 at 2018, nakakita sila ng 409 na bata sa mga city jails. Hindi ba natin naiisip na hindi naman talaga automatic na pupunta yung mga bata sa youth rehabilitation center eh. Madalas napupunta pa sila.
Okay, point of information coming from the government side. Would you accept or reject? Accept. Eh, sino po magtatanong?
As the opposition speaker said earlier, she stated that the rehabilitation are not functioning well because we only have 63 over 150 rehabilitations here in the Philippines. So why you are not lowering the criminal liability if the rehabilitation center itself didn't function? So instead of being rehabilitated to that, why we're not instead of PNP and the legal authorities? That's all. As I've said, in the Republic Act 9344, it requires 115 youth rehabilitation centers, and we only have 63. So, hindi natin kaya i-cater yung malaking bilang ng mga youth rehabilitation, ng malaking bilang ng mga batang nagko-commit ng crimes. Bakit? Sa bilang pa lang yun ng 15 years old above. What more dun sa mga 9 years old? And alam naman natin na kapag yung mga 15 years old to 18 years old na nagko-commit ng crime, nilalagay sila sa mga youth rehabilitation centers. Tapos, ang tendency, hindi sila nakikater. Pati sa loob ng youth rehabilitation center, nakakaranas rin sila ng pang-aabuso. Hindi properly supervised at underfunded. So yun, as per my last speech, no, hindi pa natin naiisip na dahil aminin man natin sa hindi, na yung mga youth detention centers dito sa
Thank you. Now let's proceed to the third speaker from the proposition, member of government.
So, gaya nga po ng sabi niya kanina, di ba? Dahil nga po 64 lang yung nakukuha ng rehabilitation, dahil nga po, hindi pa na-implement, hindi pa nagagawa. So, what if na-implement na to? Dahil, kung may-implement na to, mas nadami pa. Mas marami pang rehabilitation programs, lalo na yung PNP. Na-mention na nga kanina na PNP has the highest fund here right now in 2025. So, back to the topic. I just want to ask all of you, who is capable to reach those children, who has the capacity, who has the resources, and who has the authority to help those vulnerable children in the hands of syndicate. And according to Manila Bulletin in 2024, the Philippine National Police has the authority and the capability
So, to continue, so children exploitation by the criminal syndicate needs to immediately stop. And hindi natin kinakailangan ng social program that takes too long to implement. Ang kinakailangan lang is matulungan at magawa yung mga kabataan ito na hawak-hawak ng mga sindikato. Kailangan na tayo, lalo na ang PNP has the power, has the capability, and has the resources to save and help those children. The PNP can change their life and help them to prove their life has worth. So, to support this article, according to Manila Bulletin 2024, nearly 500 children rescued from online exploitation since 2022 up until now. So, this article talks about PNP Simulator children exploitation. They rescued 375 girls and 1
boys under the age of 17 below. One of the Officer Marbil said that the PNP stand firm in its fight against all forms of child exploitation. Marbil said that these rescue victims represents life and save futures restored. Every rescue mission is a step closer to justice and safer
our children. Dito sinasabi ng Officer Marbil that they are ready and they have the capacity
to see those vulnerable children, and what we need to do is to lower the criminal liability so they have the legal authority to save those vulnerable children. So again, the Philippines is an adopting country, right? Because many developed countries have successfully implemented to lower the ages of their liabilities, and they.
Thank you. So let's call on the third speaker from the opposition, member of opposition.
Today, we the opposition opposing the motion before us, the member of the government emphasizing that lowering the minimum criminal age of criminal responsibility at the age of 9 years old is virtually beneficial to the society, where in fact it is flawed and will only lead to child victimization and other negative conditions that proportionally affect the welfare of the children. With that regard, to simply justify this, let us discuss the integral parts of the proposing bill, which simply projects the incoherency of the said bill. The first one, the aspect of the social and ethical perspective of the proposing bill. Lowering the minimum age of criminal responsibility at the age of 9 years old will only lead to more complex and concerning issues which question the morality proposition of the said bill. Kagaya na sinasabi nila it will save the child, it will save the child from exploitation, where in fact there are some data under the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Council in the year of 2020, which states that 7% of the child victims were actually happened inside the rehabilitation center. So kung tutusin natin, nagkakaroon ng exploitation inside the rehabilitation center. So kung may implement yung lowering the minimum age of criminal responsibility at the age of 9 years old, it will actually cause more negative conditions that is judicially affects the development of the children. Aside from it, the proposing bill also ambiguously delineates the conformity of features differentiating the standard between the adult and the minor. They stated earlier that the PNP shall ensure the rehabilitation for the welfare of
Point of information coming from the government. So same question, would you accept or reject? Accept. Okay, so what's your question?
As I stated earlier, that many to the children, we will distinguish who is liable for that, or who is responsible for that children. That's all.
Yes.
Para masagot ko yung katanungan mo, honestly, we shall focus the implications of the proposing bill on implementing the effects among the children. Kumbaga, ano ba ang custody yung mas nararapat? Wala. Hindi dapat tayo nag-stand between the lines. Hindi dapat natin pinaprioritize yung karapatan ng mga kabataan in aspect of, in accordance with the Presidential Decree of 603. And aside from that, also in consideration, in the view of our foregoing propositions, we rather recommend to determine the implication on implementing this kind of bill instead of creating creating a more child prison institution, we rather should enhance the community engagement when it comes to intervention sa mga child crimes instead of focusing on the children, which is the victims also of the adults or the saturation environment. That's all. Para sa karagdagan ng aking mga sinasabi, also, dadagdag ko rin dito na dapat magkakaroon na differentiation between the civil liabilities and criminal liabilities. Based sa case ni Gloria D. and the people of the Philippines, the criminal liability and civil liability shall determine when it comes to involving the children at the age of 9 years old, which in fact, we can also still uphold the liability without the intention to proceed to the concept of the criminal legal obligation, and that's all.
Thank you. So let's proceed with the last speaker for the government side.
Good morning, honorable judges, esteemed opposition, fellow debaters, fellow students. I stand here before you as a government wing to strengthen our case and closing our should be lower the private liability at the age of 9 years old.
Case.
The federal accusation claims earlier that the cognitive development should not be criminally liable. We have made it clear these children are not being treated as criminals. There are victims who will be structured intervention. It will not have this city who will take to exploiting with them in impunity. And to continue our government said earlier that we are on adopting countries based on our research according to our data that we researched in Singapore that there is a youth of offenders in this.
There's a point of information on it. Council for the day. So what do you think?
So to continue it, that decreased by 43.3%. We found the testimonial that Jasper Yap, that those undergo treatment of the juvenile center, na kung saan siya ay naakusahan na drugs and nag-robbery siya, ang ginawa niya is robbery, and doon sa juvenile, nung nakalaya na siya, is nagkaroon siya ng magandang buhay, na kung saan is naging entrepreneurship siya, naging businessman siya, at lumagawa kanyang business. From that, so early intervention prevents if children goes up in a crime without accountability, they risk becoming a habitual offenders. So lowering the age of 9 years old allows the government to step in before their future is destroyed. So moreover, we expose how criminals syndicate abuse the current laws. Right now, they deliberately disabuse of minors because they know that they won't be held, these minors. So lowering the age of 9 years old close this loophole, discouraging the criminals from using children as disposal tools. So through our debate, we have firmly established that the children are being exploited precisely because they are exempt from liability. So lowering the age of these 9 years old removes the syndicate advantages. The PNP is capable to provide structural rehabilitation with abundant resources and dedicated programs. This is not about punishment. It's about protection. We are giving these children the chance at a better future rather than leaving them in the hands of the criminals.
Thank you. So let's proceed to the last speaker for the opposition whip.
So good morning. To end this for our opposition side, the proposition side is talking about only the restorative. Samantalang we're talking about the lowering criminal liabilities. Note, criminal liabilities, we're not talking about the restorative. Kasi lagi na pinipinpoint is yung restorative. Diba? So, ang pinapoint natin dito is pagpapababa ng criminal liabilities out to 9. So, kami ay direktang hindi sumasang-ayon sa pagpapababa ng criminal liabilities sa 9 years old dahil ito ay malinaw na violation sa karapatang pambata. Nasuportado na CYWC o Child Youth Welfare Code. Ito ay CYWC ay ang Presidential Decree number 603 na kung saan ito ay mga pundasyon ng mga batas sa Pilipinas na direkta na nangangalaga sa karapatan ng mga bata. At sinasabi ko din na
point of information again was raised. Would you accept or reject? Accept now. So what's the question?
So as the Mr. Speaker, the opposition said earlier that there is looking for the welfare of the children. However, the member of the government said earlier that hindi dapat mag-stand ng line for the criminal liability. And also, how can we focus the social integration if you're not standing the line? And how we can be sure that the welfare of these children are in a good hands if we're not standing the line. That's all. It's like a contradicting part lang po kasi. We're not standing the line and also you're focusing on the welfare of the children. That's all.
Ang sinasabi ko dito is Child Youth Welfare Code. I'm not talking about the welfare. Diba? I'm talking about the welfare. Child Youth Welfare Code o ang Presidential Decree number 603. Ang sinasabi mo, pinapokus ko kasi ay ang rehabilitation side. Kasi we're talking about criminality. Criminal liability sa mga 9 years old. Pagkapababa, ikaw ba, pinipinpoint nyo kasi na more on exploitation. Na-exploit yung bata. Tingin nyo ba, hayaan nyo makulong ang bata dahil sa sinasabi nyo pag-exploit? Diba? Pinipinpoint nyo din kasi na ginagamit sila sa mga syndicate activities. Tapos, hayaan mo makulong yung bata dahil sa kagawa ng mga sindikato na hindi naman sila totally na may plano ng mga activities na yun. Hayaan mo ba ang bata makulong dahil sa mga kasalanan, sila lang din naman ay biktima. Yun nga din, political and presidential degree, na ito ay 603, na direktang ang nangangalaga sa kapakanan at karapatan ng bawat bata. Base din sa Article 15, Section 3, na ang karapatan ng bawat bata na maproteksyonan laban sa karapatan ng bawat bata. At ito din ay hindi po pwede dahil nakakapinsala ito sa paglaki ng bata. At base din sa CWC, or Council for Welfare of the Children, ay 14 to 17 years old na bata lamang ang nai-involve sa mga criminal offenses. Na kung saan, bakit natin bababaan sa 9 years old? Kung 15 at 17 years old lamang ang nai-involve sa mga criminal offenses at mga criminal offenses ng mga pagkakama. Diba? Bakit natin bababaan? Bakit natin isisisi sa bata ang mga gagawa ng mga sindikato na in-exploit lang din naman sila? Diba? Bakit din natin din nga pananagutin ang mga bata sa mga kasalanan hindi sila ang gumawa. At malaking epekto nito sa developmental stages ng mga bata. Na kung saan dapat nag-develop ang mga bata sa isang ligtas at tamang lugar. Hindi sa isang rehas dahil sa polisiya at batas na hindi patas. At lagi natin tatandaan na ang bawat bata ay dapat pinapangalagaan ng proteksyon at proteksyonan. Dahil sabi nga natin, Rizal, kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan. Pero paano natin masasabi na kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan o ito ay kinukulong natin sa kasalanan sila lang din naman ay biktima at ginamit. Maraming salamat.
So let's proceed with the interpolation of judges. Kindly 15 minutes so we could start. Ayan. So anyone from our panel to ask questions?
Sa government. So, is it your position then that in order to protect a child, we make them criminally liable and the liability should start from 9 years old? And thereafter, pag naging criminally liable sila, dadalhin sila sa PNP at ang PNP ang magko-custody sa kanila? How would that promote then the best interest of the child and the welfare of the child if they are incarcerated or they are under an so-called armed component of our government?
Anyone from the government to answer the question? Yeah? Yeah. Anyone? Yes? Yeah?
So, na-mention po na kapag nasa loob nga ng pulisya, yung mga kabataan is, na-mention po namin kanina, dun sa sa loob ng pulis, is magkakaroon sila ng maraming programa na kung saan mas mapagbibigyan pa yung mga kabataan ng mas magandang polisiya at magkaroon pa sila, mabawi yung mga karapatan nila bilang bata at hindi hawak ng mga sindikato. Dahil na kung nandoon sila sa loob ng polisiya, they are being protected by those police and they're changing the fate of those child. They are na-attract na sila or meron na silang mindset na patungkol sa pagiging kriminal. At andun yung mga pulisya para tulungan sila at bigyan sila ng guide sa pagbabago ng buhay. And gaya nga na kanina na-mention namin, kagaya kay Mr. Jasper na mula sa Singapore na nahuli ka siya at the age of 15 dahil nga po sa pagiging gang niya at sa pagdanakaw niya, nakulong siya at the age of 15. And after na makalaya, after ng 2 years and 8 months, after niya
Thank you. Yeah.
Bawal kasi mag-follow up eh.
Follow up na lang.
Bawal kasi mag-follow up, di ba? Rules. Bawal mag-follow up ng question. Dito na lang sa opposition. Siguro yung mga fellow judges na lang mag-follow up. Sige, sa opposition. Previously, nung wala pa ang Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act, the age of criminal liability is under 9 years of age, exempted from criminal liability. Over 9 to below 15 years of age, and if the child acted with discernment, may criminal liability. Nung dumating ang Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act, ginawa nilang 15 and below 15 exempted, 15 to 18 acted with discernment, criminally liable. Ngayon, mayroon ba kayong maipakitang data on the effect on CICN, Child in Conflict with Law, na mabuti with the increase of criminal liability from 15 to ginawang 18? Meron bang study na maipalabas na magpapakita na mas nakakabuti yung pagtaas ng criminal liability from below 18, 15 to below 18?
Yes, anyone from the opposition to answer?
Or kung walang data, ano sa tingin nyo ang naidulot nitong kabutihan sa sosyedad at sa kabataan?
Yes, go. We have 1 minute.
Yung kabutihan or the good influence inside or within the society po, at the age of 15 years old, based on the Colfer's moral development stages po kasi, at the age of that, you're also aware of the moral and hypothetical concepts between their environments, or there are not influenced based on their emotions. Unlike at the age of 7 to 11 years old, they are usually prone to peer influence or other saturated environments where affects their actions or it actually reflect with their actions.
Thank you po. Next, from the panel judges, meron po. Okay, for the proposition, merong desisyon ng Korte Suprema nagsasabi na a child of tender years cannot give rational consent. So alam naman natin, pag sinasabi ng criminal liability, most of the time, mayroong criminal intent. Voluntary niyang ginawa and knowingly niya ginawa. But based on that decision, how could you reconcile that criminal liability should be imposed even if the child has no rational consent? Kasi subject lang siya na exploitation gaya sinasabi niyo ng mga sindikato. Yes, anyone from the group? So you have 1 minute.
Thank you for that question. So I said earlier, child would be liable under 9 years old because these children are being exploited. And also, they have been used by the syndicates. That's why, for us, to protect those children, not to punish those children, we need to get them from the custody of the syndicate because it is a continuous crime cycle. That's happening in our society. So those children that has not a cognitive ability and they can understand what they're doing or the understanding of the consequences of what their actions, we need to protect. That's why we push us to lower the criminal liability. Because in the UNICEF research that I stated earlier that 60% of the syndicates have targeted those 9 years old age, under 9 years old age as the tools of syndicates. That's all.
Attorney, anymore? Okay. For the opposition, my question is, if a minor, 9 years old, commits criminal liability, but as you propose, there should be no criminal liability, and you insist on Republic Act 9344, no? So my question is, if they are not criminally liable, who should be criminally liable if there's a crime committed? Okay, so we got 1 minute.
Thank you for that question po. In regards to that, minors aged from 9 years above na nakakamit ng crime, they will be undergoing this psychological assessment po, whether they have this discernment or not. And if mapatunayan na nag-accident discernment, doon pa lang po sila lilitisin. Kahit po yung pinupunto natin dito. And aside from that po, yung tinatanong niyo po kung sino yung magiging criminally liable sa mga nag-commit na 9 years old above, they will be put din po in this intervention programs that we have. Not necessarily na dapat ilagay natin agad sila sa PNP, sa kasudian ng mga PNP. Kasi alam naman natin na magkaiba yung trato ng PNP at ng mga social welfares na meron tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Ayun lang po. Thank you.
Next, Professor Isid.
Okay, so, maganda tanghali sa inyo na. Okay. If I would question you all with this CICL thing, abot tayo ng alas 12 ng ating gabi. Because I'm in charge with this when I was in BJP. Okay? So, paparecall ng konti yung iba. Okay? Kayo yung if lowering the criminal liability of 9 years old, should you think you have destroyed the future of a kid? You destroy the future of the kid. Remember, restorative, rehabilitation, and reformation are different things. When we say juvenile act, we are reforming them. We are not rehabilitating them. Now, lowering it to a 9 years old, which is, would you think, from 9 years old to 18 years old, have you destroyed the future of the kid?
Okay. Yes, anyone?
For me, Mr. Speaker, no. Because, in fact, in 2025, it is a recent year, it is a report of PNP that in PNP budgets for youth rehabilitations and programs increased by 25% for that 200 billion. It is blaming them, the PNP, instead of being harmed. They have the program that expound outreach efforts and create more engaging educational content, and also will focus to the youth rehabilitations for the juvenile center. Because, as stated earlier to the opposition side, we have only 63 rehabilitation. So it doesn't mean na kapag kinulong mo yung bata, is i-arm sila or paparusahan sila doon. Doon, gagawin silang extension of rehabilitations because we need to strengthen kung ano man yung mapapagbabago at makakapag-strengthen ng social integration ng mismong bata. So inside the jail, hindi mo naman siya paparusahan, but rather may mga programs doon na tinuturuan sila. And in fact, in the testimony of Justel Yap, which was entrepreneurship.
Thank you. Sir?
Sige, this is a rhetorical question. Addition lang po sa inyo. When we say we lowering 9 years old, okay, criminal liability, at the age of 18, papadala po natin sila sa Muntinlupa. Okay? What I'm trying to emphasize here is that criminal na siya nung 9 years old, pagdating na ng 18, wala na. Stop. Yes. Stop. You have not reformed. They are being exploited. Okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? Attorney, kanina sinabi niya 15 to 17 years old and 364 days considered minor. So they have to susukatin pa rin, act of discernment kung tawagin. Sinusukat niya na social worker. Okay? Then, to tell you all, walang pakialam ang PNP po sa CICL. Kaya nagugulat ako doon sa mga reference nyo. Once na nahuli po yan, automatic natawag po yan sa DSWD. That's why nagtataka ako sa inyo. Saan nyo na po yung mga reference nyo? Once na dinala naman sa amin yan at nagsinungaling, at in-interview ko, sinabi na 17 years old ako, automatic natawag po ako sa DSWD. Dahil lahat dapat ng DSWD dito sa atin ay meron dapat youth homes. They are not called rehabilitation center homes to be reformed. Okay. Okay na po. Tatanggalin ko lang lahat ng reference ninyo. Ang daming mali. Sige, tama na yan. Rhetorical questions.
Okay. Are we good, sir? Thank you. Okay naman. Thank you. Okay, so let's give all our debaters for this topic again a round of applause. Coming from the College of Business and Accountancy and our special team for this debate. Thank you po.
Ayan, maraming salamat sa lahat ng debaters and panel of judges natin ngayong umagat ito. Maraming salamat, Attorney Jobert Pahilga. Maraming salamat, Professor Renate Isen.
And of course, thank you very much to all of our audience. So please stay safe. May announce ang winner. Kung sino ang champion, first runner-up, second runner-up, at ang ating best debater of the day.
Yes, partner, no? Sino kaya ang magwawagi ngayong hapong ito?
Ayan, so basta dun sa mga napanood na
James, palagay kang Kayla.
sa CM1 ay makita talaga
Mag-ready si Bien.
sa mga issue na tinakil nila.
Grabe yung kailangan nila, no? Tsaka yung references na binabato nila. Grabe. Ang ingin. Magtanong kaya tayo sa mga audience natin kung ano ba yung naramdaman nila ngayong umaga ito.
Okay, so we will go to our audiences.
Okay na.
So we will go to our audience para mag-ano. Ayan, lumalabas na sila. Sige po.
Ay, huwag mo na lalabas.
Ilalak po natin yung pinto.
Close the door.
Ano lang. So, hindi naman din po tayo mag-debate as viewers or audience. We want to, makuha yung sagot, ano yung naramdaman nyo, or ano yung makapansin na sa ating mga debate.
Yes. Magmula tayo sa student.
Ayan, hindi naman sa pagiging bias, pero tuwang-tuwa talaga ako halatang batak na batak ang College of Arts and Sciences pagdating sa debate. Grabe sila manlamon.
Alright.
Thank you.
How about magpapatalo ka ang CCJ? Ano yung naramdaman niya sa debate ngayong umaga? Okay, si Ma'am si Ma'am Martesio, nasan ba?
Wala si Ma'am. Nasa taas na. So, parang umanti na audience natin.
Okay naman yung mga audience so far. Lahat naman sila nagbigay ng mga insights na dapat sa topic. Medyo nalala ako sa kamating match. Kasi wala po clear kung sino po yung pro, tsaka sa kung sino po yung opposition side. Although, may sense naman yung sinasabi nila.
Thank you very much po. So, how about in the other colleges? Meron ba tayo dito representative pa, audience?
From College of Teacher Education.
Meron pa po ba?
At ng inyong mga audience. Nawala.
Nawala. Siguro gutom na. Nasa ML na.
Nasa ML na.
Ito na lang, since nandito lahat ng ating mga debater, tanungin natin ano yung naramdaman nila.
Yes, oo.
During their, di ba? Ayan, dito tayo magsimula.
Simula. Kasi ito yung nag-wow kagad sa akin eh.
Wow!
Wow.
May wow!
Si Borton, alalang-alala ko yung pangalan niya.
Ang tanong ay kung anong naramdaman ko. Kasi ito, hindi naman na ito yung first time ko na sumali ng debate. And when I was in senior high school, lumaban na rin ako sa ibang school. So, pero ngayon, nararamdaman ko pa rin yung pressure kapag humaharap ka sa tao. Kasi, it's different eh. May kita mo yung mga tao, ay Diyos ko, mga intelligenteng tao yan. Lalo na yung panel of judges natin, na may dalawa tayong attorney and isang professor na talaga namang kapit-kapitagan. So, somehow, medyo nakakakaba pa rin siya. Pero, after naman, all throughout the debate, medyo naramdaman ko naman yung excitement. And nung natapos na kami, doon nakakaramdaman okay na to. Ganon.
Ayan, thank you very much.
Alright.
Welcome naman sa ating ibang debater. Ito po. Ano po meron sa ating ceiling? So, sino po yung pwede magsalita from CCJE? Actually, hindi kami prepared ng debate kasi sobrang dami din ginagawa. And actually, first time lang namin lahat na mag-debate. Tapos, sobrang na-overwhelmed kami. Tsaka, totoo pala yun yung pag kinakabahan ka. Kasi kamado. So, totoo pala yun yung pag kinakabahan ka, sumasakit yung tiyan mo. Yun yung kasi na-feel ko. So far naman, magagaling ng kalaban namin, kudos to them. So, sa mga kakampi ko, thank you so much. Binuhat niyo ako. Yun lang. Thank you.
Ayan, maraming salamat sa debaters ng CCJE. Dito naman tayo sa cast ng debater. Kamusta yung naramdaman mo at kamusta yung experience?
Ayan po, syempre po, nakakaba kasi ang dami po nanonood kanina, pero ngayon po konti na lang. Tapos, syempre po, pangalawang beses ko po mag-debate. Since first year po ako, tapos ito po yung first academic debate ko, and I believe na next na laban ko kapag hindi ako make sure na yung other team po na judges is mapapawawag mo sa akin. Yan lang po.
May kaabang-abang.
May wow daw. So next year.
Abangan natin yan.
Yeah. How about hello po ate? Hello. Ito naman from CCS. So ano po yung naramdaman and experience po natin kanina?
Hello. Thank you. Good afternoon. So ako naman personally actually, so this is actually a kind of debate na tayong mga academic people is actually craving for. Kasi we're actually, in terms of knowledge, talagang nagkaroon kami ng perspective sa stand nila. Actually, all of them, like, lalo nung nag-escalate na yung debate, especially yung political side, na favorite ko yan yung political side. I really love how they serve the dishes. And also, one thing I'm more like about, they're not actually fighting for who is the best. Rather, they're using of course, hands-on kayo, and of course, also in the end to appreciate one another. Till next
Yes, maraming salamat. Dito lang tayo sa College of Business Accountancy. Ma'am, ano po yung
So, to be honest, it was my, first experience ko na sumali sa academic debate. So, at first po, syempre, tinakabahan. Pero hindi halata kasi maganda ako eh. So, ayun, parang binaan ko na lang sa ganda, tapos sa way of speaking. Pero ayun, super na-impress ako sa lahat ng mga debaters since lahat sila talaga palaban, no? So, yung debate kasi, or academic debate, hindi lang siya parang sa pagalingan kung ano yung point mo. It is about getting your side or yung claim mo talaga. So, additionally, parang nagpapasalamat din ako sa mga bumuo ng debate na to since maraming mga estudyante, so marami silang natutunan for this day yun.
Okay, thank you very much sa ating CBA na napaka-projecta as of
Yes, lucky na.
Truly. So, maybe we should like talk to our panel of judges.
Yes.
Ano yung kanilang insights or takeaways this debate?
Panel of judges, ano pong masasabi nyo sa ating mga debaters ngayong umagang ito?
Okay, so it's my first time to see. Then they are very intelligent. CMU students very intelligent and very efficient in their debate. The only thing that I have discovered is that I think more reliable references, because with that we can say that they might be misinformed. So that's all.
Thank you so much po, Prof. And to our attorney.
Attorney Campos, ano po yung masasabi po ninyo sa debaters ngayong umaga?
Yung mga students, they come well prepared naman. No? But expectedly, merong mananalo at mananalo. So, it calls upon a proposition and opposition. Depende sa topic. So, kung ang pag-argue ay okay, no? So, preferably, doon kami papani.
Thank you so much po, attorney. And our last
attorney. Attorney Kahulga. Parang nag-i-raise ka.
Sip-sip pa mga estudyante ko.
Iuna pa na daw sila, attorney.
Yung una kong na-notice, yung engagement ng debaters. Medyo hindi ganon ka-active, ano? Yung debate kasi, tanong mo, diba? I-challenge mo yung kanyang argument. Then the debater should ask questions. Saan mo yung kinuha? Bakit ganyan? Parang hindi natin nakita yon. Kaya, dalawa kasi yan argumentation at debate. They have argued but may kulang doon sa debate. Yung series of questions and answers. No? Doon dapat, kasi yun sabi nga ni Atty. Campos, yun kasi yung pinakamasayang portion. Yung magtatanong ka sa kalaban mo, i-challenge mo yung kanyang thesis. Sige po.
Ayun.
Grabe.
So, sino kaya ang ating best debater at mag-champion for our Academic Debate 2025?
Sa tingin nyo, sino ang mananalong team ngayong umagang ito? Magsigawan niya ang lahat ng College of Arts and Sciences!
Ay, ayan. Mga ano sila? 15.
15.
How about the College of Business and Accountancy?
1.
Meron naman.
1.
Kasi yung iba nanood sa ating outside the event, di ba? Yes.
Nasaan naman ang College of Computer Studies? 4.
How about the College of Teachers?
College of Teachers Education.
And of course, the College of Criminal Justice Education. Oh, para 100. Wow! Wow! Ayan. So, as of this moment, kinukompute na po yung ating mga scores. At in a while, we will announce the winners for our academic debate.
Talagang nahirapan yung mga judges natin. Tignan mo, ang tagal nilang computing.
35. Ayan. So, nahihirapan ang ating committee para mag-compute. Dikit-dikit ang laban dahil nakita natin kung gagawin galing ang ating mga debate ngayong umaga.
Ano kaya masasabi ng ng Dean natin sa College of Arts and Sciences?
Ayan si
Dean, kamusta yung napanood mo kanina?
Una sa lahat, nagpapasalamat ako dun sa mga participants, no, na talaga nagpakita ng mga talento, no, sa pagbibigay ng mga iba't ibang opinion. At saka talaga naman basta mga batang CMU, mga estudyante ng CMU talagang magagaling. magaling sa akademiko. At habang pinapakita nyo yung kagalingan na yan, kailangan isa sa puso nyo lagi at saka yung hindi pagkalimot sa pagtawag sa taas. At saka maganda niyan yung etong academic competition na to, talagang kinonvert ko sa academic debate. Para lahat. Alam ko naman, taga-bastakas. Etong talagang nila, di ba? Paborito nila. At yung ibang kolehiyo rin. Talagang iniintay itong itong competition na to. Nagpapasalamat ako sa iba't ibang kolehiyo, lalo na yung mga yung mga participate. Talaga siguro, kada team, parang tinatawag na dream team eh. Tama ba ako? Talagang talagang may talagang mga pinili. Talagang natin ito. Tuwing itataos natin itong yung founding anniversary or foundation day, hindi na mawawala sa mga academic debate. Lagi ng parte ng ating kasiyahan dito sa City of Malabon University. Kaya kayo mga estudyante ng City of Malabon University, lagi yung mamahalin na mater, lagi yung magtatanggol ang City of Malabon University. Hindi mo magsisimula ang misyon, di ba? Dahil itong paghahawakan, hindi pinanahawakan ng pinapagandang sandata para sa inyong magandang pinapapasan. Salamat po ulit.
Ayan, maraming salamat po, Lee. Ayan, bago magtapos ang programa ito, syempre pasalamatan muli natin ang ating panel of judges.
Attorney Jobert Campos.
Sa pag-coverage ng ating academic debate ngayong umaga. And of course, kung may CMU Agilec, meron din veteran. Maraming salamat po.
Okay na? So we have the results of our academic debate. So wait lang daw. Assistance ko na tayo.
Sino kaya wala tayo? Siyempre, of course, pinasalamatan na natin ang ating mga panel of judges, ang CMU Agilec at the Curve. Pasalamatan din natin ang bumubuo ng academic debate ngayong umaga. Maraming salamat Dr. Tu sa
pamumunas sa ating academic debate ngayon.
Yes. And of course, si Sir Daniel Santiago bilang moderator. And of course, the College Dean ng College of Art and Sciences, si Dr. Arnel Basilo. Maraming salamat. And of course, the committees. Maraming salamat po. Of course, kay Frank. Yan, maraming salamat Frank. And sa lahat ng committee na bumubuo na academic debate.
And of course, hindi ito magiging exciting kung walang ating mga audience dito sa ating CMU Hall, also audience natin online, live sa iPhone.
Kaya siguro maraming nag-comment kung sino na lang po ba.
So nakita ko kanina dun sa live ng iPhone, sinusuportahan talaga nila yung kanilang mga colleges, even though they're not here in our front, F to F, So, kita-kita pa rin yung mga suporta ng mga kapwa natin, CMU sa ating
Yes naman. Ito natin din sumuporta ang mga estudyante sa kanila ng colleges department. Eto na! Eto na nga.
Hindi mag-wide chat si Kyla. Sasabihin na ata yung mga winners.
Okay, so we have the result for our winner. So now we will announce who. Yes. So, na-announce po muna namin kung sino ang nanalo per round. Yes. So, we have 3 rounds, so we will announce sino ang nanalo. At yung tatlong mababanggit ay sila din yung mag-aagawan for champion. So, okay po ba? Excited na ba ang lahat?
For the first round!
For the first round, our winner is from College of Computer Studies.
For the second round, from College of Arts and Sciences.
And of course, for our third round, our winner is Special Team. Ayan, nalaman na natin kung sino yung tatlo na nanalo per round. At ngayon, i-a-announce na natin sino ang nagkampiyon sa tatlo. So now, we will start at the second runner-up. The second runner-up for Academic Debate 2025 is College of Computer Studies.
And for the first runner-up, walang iba kundi ang College of Arts and Sciences.
And of course, our winner for Academic Debate 2025 is Special Team. Grabe, dikit-dikit ang laban. So, again, congratulations to Special Team, College of Arts and Sciences, and College of Computer Studies.
Grabe yung puntos lang. Ano lang?
Point lang, no? Point lang. At wag muna tayo maalas dahil aalamin pa natin sino ang best debater. So, sino nga ba?
Siguro yung part na habang naghihintay tayo, inaanyayahan natin yung mga nanalo.
Anyayahan pa na natin for picture taking at College of Computer Studies.
College of Computer Studies. Dito po tayo sa harap. Together with our dean para sa picture taking po.
Congratulations!
Congratulations po. Yes po. Sir Dan?
Once again, our second runner-up, College of Computer Studies.
And of course, first runner-up natin ngayong umaga, ang College of Arts and Sciences. Dean, please stay for the picture taking first runner-up.
Okay, congratulations once again, College of Arts and Sciences.
And of course,
So our champion, Special Team.
Special Ayan, nasa ng isa. Nasa po yung isang team, yung isang member.
Ako na lang.
Thank you. Best debater of the day.
Sino kaya sa tingin nyo ang best debater natin?
Madaming magagaling, di ba?
Yes.
So, huwag na natin pakatalan with the average of 95.67. Our best debater is from
Special team!
Trisha Salazar!
Ayan, grabe.
Ayan,
ang best debater natin.
Salazar for our best debater alongside with our lead.
Picture po.
Once again, our best debater of the day, Trisha Salazar.
Maraming salamat po once again to our panels of judges, Dr. Abdul, D. Basilio, Sir Dan, and now...
Again, thank you very much everyone for watching our Academic Debate 2025. So for our last of this program, we will sing the CMU hymn.
Ayan. Yan, bago tayo magtapos, kantayin po muna natin ang ating CMU hymn. Wala po muna lalabas.
Pwede na ba i-ready cam 1, James? Para kay Bien? Ganyan kaya. Paganyan. James, pakicheck nga si Bien. Wala na kasing tao eh.
Ayan. Bago po tayo po may libreng Coke po sa labas. Libre lang po yan. Ay, wala na.
Katulad daw kanina.
Ako sino pa naman yun para sa events.
And of course, please support more events of our 31st founding anniversary with the aim of continuing legacy of excellence and innovation, shaping minds and building communities.
Of course, meron din tayong coronation night sa ating mga colleges or pageant.
For our Mr. and Miss Ambassador and Ambassadress 2025. And of course, the CMU night. So, ayan, doon ka magiging masaya yun.
Ayan, meron din po tayong bingo. Diba? Bingo
Bien,
Bonanza.
sud ka dun sa gitna.
And grabe yung papremyo ng Bingo Bonanza. Yung files. Alright? Ngayon po, ayan, sabay-sabay natin kantahin ng CMU hymn. Ayan, mag-enjoy po tayo sa mga palaro at mag-games natin ngayong umaga at hapon sa labas.
Abangan na ang final score our intramurals.
Kanino pong photo?
Talagang nagpakita ng tapang nila sa pakikipagdebate, no? And also, I want to emphasize na lahat tayo panalo rito. Although, hindi pa rin ako makapaniwala kasi I think lahat kasi sila talaga magagaling and lahat nagpakita ng wisdom nila, kung paano nila na-argue lahat ng mga references na nakuha nila. And I believe na
So, mag-receiver kaya ako nag-tapos.
I'm just really grateful for my girlfriend, no? Kasi nga, sinuportahan niya ko all throughout. And also,
Wala. Meron na.
parang wala.
Meron na lang.
Wag ikaw. Tanong mo sila. End na ba? End? Tapos na si Bien. Tapos na